Hello, everyone, and welcome to Ask an Expert webinar. I'm your host, Luminara Sirdar, and I have the websites autismtransformed.com and heartfulhealing.com. I help parents recover their children from autism. One of the big things I do is an Autism Recovery Telesummit, which will happen again next year, to be announced. So today we have with us CandisTucker, who is this all-around amazing energy working woman. She'll be talking to us about the Consiga Advanced Toxin Removal System. It's a type of zeolite, and she'll explain what that is. And I just want to say a little bit about Candice before we begin. She became a massage therapist and then became ill. And during that time was introduced to energy medicine with biofeedback, cellular reprogramming and detoxification, and all of that helped her tremendously. She does a ton of different modalities that I won't go into. She can if she wants, but she does quantum biofeedback. She's a practitioner and does massage therapist, and she loves lots of energy healing modalities, and that's such a buzz these days. So glad to meet another energy worker. She's always reaching for and receiving information from her spiritual God team for the highest good, and is honest, trustworthy, and leads with her heart. And I understand she's very intuitive as well. And Candice has a private practice in North Texas, and she sees local as well as remote clients. I'll give you her website right now. It's quantumangel.org, and I'll type that into the chat box for now. And I just want to say welcome, Candice.
Thank you. Thanks for having us today here. It's really good to be here. Just a little bit about why I'm even here with Luminara and helping to share this information. Again, I am not an autism child. I don't have any autistic children myself, but I did fall ill a little over 12 years ago. Severe mold, heavy metal toxicity, so I can definitely feel your pain whenever there's some things going on. But through detoxification, energy medicine, it takes a village to conquer these things. I was able to transform through. I was going down an autoimmune path, severely depressed, many things. But through time, energy medicine, safe detoxification, here I am able to share it with other people. So thank you, God, for that. But I do want to talk a little bit about why we are here today with the Consiga Advanced TRS. This is a product that I've actually been using in my practice for a little over 2 years. It's just amazing. It's a very safe, effective zeolite, and there's many types of zeolites on the market out there. Now, ours is quite different. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Can I just ask you to start with, some people who are listening might not know what zeolite even is.
Oh, sure. You got it.
Thanks.
So actually, naturally, zeolite occurs within the earth. It's a natural mineral, but it's also an inert mineral. It's very neutral. It's the way that the earth actually detoxifies and remineralizes itself. When a volcano erupts, the lava hits seawater into silica, it fossilizes and creates the zeolite. Now, many people have been using zeolites for a long time. Pool filters, water filters, it's filtering all types of stuff, impurities out of the water, which is excellent. There's powdered zeolites, there's liquids, there's many different forms. There's manufactured zeolites. And with that, there are over 600 published case studies on zeolites if you want to know a lot more about them. But why people use them in detoxification is their binding molecule has cage-like structures, and they're highly negatively charged. So when we have positive charges in our body, it just attracts to it. But back to the zeolite. So zeolite naturally, again, absorbs neurotoxicity. It also naturally has a lot of toxins in it from being in the earth altogether because it's filtering our earth, cleaning. It's a cleaning cycle. Many companies or organizations that use zeolite extract it from the earth, and they utilize it in many different things. Again, pool filters, this, that, and the other. Well, to get a really good clean zeolite, they have to go through a heavy acidic stripping process that cleans out the impurities. And in most times, it's very difficult to clean out all of the impurities. And in some cases, sometimes they're stripped so much that they're not even a zeolite molecule anymore, and they're being used out there in some liquid zeolites and this and that. But I believe all zeolites are very positive, but they're not all created equal. There are still some that can't be cleaned ethically and purely, and we're consuming them. It doesn't mean that they're actually implanting toxins in your body. It's just they still withhold them. There's not enough room to encage what it is that's running out through our body so it can encage it and safely remove it. That's kind of zeolite in a nutshell. Now, again, there are many different types. I use a powdered zeolite as well. The zeolite naturally binds to positive toxins, of course. Well, I like to use a powdered zeolite because it focuses on its molecules so large it can really just penetrate the digestive system, the liver, which is extremely important for a lot of folks. But there's other kinds out there that can get a little further into the body. There are other liquid zeolites that can penetrate different areas and go throughout. There are many different forms. But what I've found in the past couple years, and actually working and talking with Dr. Tracy Holford, the doctor that created this, it's a manufactured zeolite. Okay, and we're going to get into why it's manufactured, man-made, and not completely from the earth. And there's a good reason for that. But learning from Dr. Tracy and all of these different studies and things that go on with zeolite, why we want it to be so pure and clean in the first place. Dr. Tracy is a biochemist. He's a scientist. He's a naturopathy oncologist. He's an amazing, very intuitive, very spiritual man, and extremely bright. And we're very lucky to have him share this with us. But with that being said, let's talk a little bit about our zeolite, if that's okay. Luminar, do you have any questions or anything, or any comments?
I think the only question or comment I have right now is Dr. Tracy Holford, who created this product. If you can just say, maybe give a reference to a website or how people can look into him a little bit, because
Sure.
I heard a talk from him. He spoke at the Autism One conference in 2015, last year, and it sounded pretty amazing. And he's a real regular guy, So just, I don't know if you could just give a little contact information.
Sure. Well, he does work with Mentis Consultants. I believe that's MENTIS Consultants. That's the company that he works in and through with his scientific work. But yeah, he really is a regular guy, really down to earth. You can talk to him so easy, so brilliant. When he was a young kiddo, he was so intelligently bright that they actually took him on into the government and started working with him then. But he did work for the government for years, and he's worked with zeolite since the 70s. So he's got all this really good information on zeolites. He doesn't work for the government anymore. He's on his own. He's still alive.
That's good to hear. That's really good to hear, because I think there's so much information about zeolite, and I think there's a lot of misinformation. And, when I look for a product to recommend to people, I really want to make sure there's a lot of science behind it, and there's a wealth of information. So the fact that he's been working with it for 30 years is great. Thank you for sharing.
Yes. Well, so there's that. And he's just a real stand-up guy. Again, just really down to earth, easy to talk to. And really, any doctors out there, anybody that's really wanting to get some more deep information, he has an open door. He may not be able to get back to you as soon as possible, but Luminar, you have his information. If you need to share it with any of your homeopaths or anything, please feel free. Okay.
And isn't he in like Springfield, Missouri?
His practice, and he lives out in Springfield right now.
Okay. But for anyone in that area.
The home of Brad Pitt. Okay, so anyways, let's talk about our zeolite and why, after 30 years working with zeolites, why he decided to go ahead and go with the manufactured. Again, extracting it from the earth, it is naturally toxic. So again, it has to be stripped. So when we're putting these molecules in the body, although they're doing some good, why not do 100% good and have toxic-free zeolite? Now, there are other manufactured zeolites out there. We're not the only one. We can't claim to be the only one. The difference between ours is that when it comes down to a zeolite and the efficacy of it and its brilliance is also how pure that zeolite molecule is, so it can do more work. And also the size is very important. Like I said, powdered zeolites, they can't get very far, but they work on a very important part, and that's the digestive system, liver. And with a more nano-sized particle, which is what we use, It's a zero 0.9 nanometer. Now, that is too out there to think about. But if you were to take the Earth next to a basketball, that's how small these particles are, these molecules of that zeolite are, okay? That's really kind of mind-blowing to think about. There are other nano zeolites out there, and I think the smallest one I've seen was a 5.9 nanometer, which is still small, brilliantly small. But he has a patent on this that has gotten it down to that micronized, tiny little size that you can't even fathom. In one bottle, and if you hold up that bottle, that one little blue bottle there.
Let's see. I think I should talk so the video goes on me. There it is. Advanced.
Yeah, it's kind of dark blue. It's in a PBA-free bottle. It's completely non-toxic. In one of those little, I believe it's a 1 or 2 ounce bottle. I can't remember the size, 28 milliliters. There are enough molecules of zeolite to cover 4.8 million square feet of water surface area. That's mind-blowing. So each molecule is highly negatively charged. Naturally, like zeolite is. Zeolite is it's a negative charge. So it goes in and finds and seeks and encapsulate positively charged toxins. Now, anything that's positively charged, okay, that's radiation, chemo, insecticides, pesticides, what I call critter poop, pathogen poop, all of that stuff. 99.9% of any neurotoxin from any source. Now, if that's in your stomach,
can I add something?
Yeah, go ahead.
So what you didn't say in there is like mercury, lead, cadmium, arsenic, these positively charged heavy metal ions too.
I did say 99.9% of toxins. There's so many. There's over 80,000 of them. I'm just joking with you. No, but there's a bazillion. And actually, the cool thing is with our zeolite, it is so highly negatively charged, and whenever it starts to pull these positively charged toxins and metals, actually mercury, which is in so much stuff, is the highest positive charge. So it actually starts to seek out those higher positive charges. It's actually pulling the mercury first, is what they're seeing in these studies. And because of its efficacy and size, somehow, and it's a patent process, I'm not a scientist, I can't even fathom how this happens, but it is a patent process for his 0.9 nanometer size. But each molecule also has a binding of purified water over the entire molecule. So whenever it goes and encapsulates, the body reads it as water. So it can go it can find its way into wherever water goes within the body. And that's 100% of your body. That's the brain, the heart, endocrine system, everywhere. And intuitively, your body will take it where it needs to go first. Luminara, I'm so sorry. I've got to plug in my Wi-Fi. I'm going to lose you.
Uh-oh. Pause, everyone. And we can see her essential oil diffuser in the background. So it sounds like the positively charged molecules or ions in the body are what wreak havoc in the body. Just to let everyone know.
Can I jump in and say something?
Sorry about that, guys.
Karen wants to jump in and say something.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to reaffirm that it is a chelation product, so it can be used and is used for all heavy metals. I just wanted to reaffirm.
Yeah, thank you.
Can you just say who you are, Karen, and why you spoke up with that? Just a real brief intro.
My name is Karen Elmquist, and I have a son who was diagnosed with autism, and we've been using the product for almost 2 years, and we've had some amazing progress because we could not chelate in the past, and when we used this for chelation, we saw some amazing benefits.
Which you'll tell us about later.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Karen. Sorry about that, guys. Minor glitch. I'm back. I'm going to stay on.
Right.
Okay, so where I was with where it goes throughout the body, of course, each individual molecule is surrounded by purified water. So whenever it goes into different systems, it's working like your body reads it as actually water. And zeolite naturally is an inert molecule anyways for your body. So wherever it goes into, it seeks and finds these positively charged toxins, and not just one little tiny 0.9 nanometer grabs a toxin. It's many that go around whatever size that molecule is, encapsulates it. And what you have there is an encapsulated neurotoxin that cannot be released. it's a circus encompassed by purified water. So whenever it goes and releases out of the body, it releases safely, harmfully, no harm done, sorry, no inflammation whatsoever. It just releases out of your body within 6 hours through your urine. So it's a very safe encapsulation process. So whatever it grabs onto, it won't go and redistribute anywhere else. It's not going to go retoxify anywhere else. It's going to make its way out of the urine. Or if you exercise, it may come out of your sweat. It does. Everybody's going to be different. But it leaves the body 100%, whatever it grabs onto.
Candice, can I ask a quick question for clarification? So I heard you say, I think I know what you mean, but I want you to explain. You said it's inert in the body, and then, but it's highly negatively charged, so it pulls out positive ions. So that, to me, as a scientist, doesn't say inert. So can you explain what you mean by that?
Sure. Zeolite in general is just inert to the body. It doesn't go and stay. Even if you're taking a powdered or this and that, it has no, it's inert to where it's not like a mineral to where it's going to stay and try to be a part of your body. Zeolite naturally, whether it's manufactured or the other. Now, if you have heavier molecules of zeolite and you have a poor elimination system, it can get stuck for some time because it's trying to get out, you see. But because it's encased with water, it's just boom, it's out your system. Yeah. And also, this is also a part of that patent, but there is a magnesium molecule that is attached to it. So whenever there's an exchange within a cell, the magnesium is let go of, the neurotoxin is encapsulated, and boom, it's moving its way out of the body safely, which is pretty amazing.
It sounds like we know so many of the kiddos are deficient in magnesium or a lot of minerals, but this one way to get magnesium right inside the cell where it can be useful. That's awesome.
Yeah. And removing some of these really heavy debris, such as aluminum, arsenic, all of these things, it's like armor on the cell. You've got something that's completely not letting anything in, not water, not minerals, not nutrients. No wonder when we have an abundance of these neurotoxins and metals coming in, there's something shielding your cells to exist. So whenever you can just get in there in a complex world, in complex situations like this, why not have something added to your regime that's simple? I'm not saying this is the only thing. This works very good with so many other things that you're doing. If you're doing a chelation process now, why not add this in? This adds safety to your protocol, safely removing what you're removing from your cells. But it's just all around just an easy addition to everything that you're doing.
And
even if you think you're healthy, you could use it.
I know. I love that, even if you think you're healthy, because there's just so many toxins in our air, food, water, and I mean, pretty unavoidable, even in organic food, stuff drifts over. So, I mean, just to tell people, I personally have a detox regimen I do every day, and, I don't consider myself of ill health, but I feel like it comes in and I want to keep getting it out. So sure. I appreciate that you said that. Can you give us a couple of examples of, and whether it's in autism or not in autism, just a couple of examples of what you've seen, some results you've seen, or maybe you can share some study stuff, with us. Right,
absolutely. Well, I do want to keep it on autism, but just to kind of use some critical thinking, because this goes for everybody. What I've seen in my practice, actually, because I do biofeedback and stress management therapies, there's so many toxins that people are exposed to, okay? So we also have things that we can also start producing within negative neurotoxins. We create chemicals in our body, right, that are real, just like drinking cyanide, okay? There's that. There's just stress toxins in general. What if we have an overabundance of pathogens? They're having to poop in our body, right? So removing that neurotoxicity of that critter poop, as I call it, is going to help stress as well. I've seen so many people, especially adults and young teens, transition within 30 days with high levels of anxiety. Those are neurotoxins that are taxing your neurosystem, okay? And not to mention, when you have an overabundance of these heavy metals, candida spikes up, right? And so do other pathogens. And they're actually trying to eat some of this debris, but they're pooping out what they're eating. And then that's micronized into your nervous system. It doesn't matter if you have autism or something else. If you've got an abundance of candida overgrowth parasites, you're going to have some pretty intense neurotoxins. Some of them are even worse than just heavy metals themselves. And those micro tiny pieces that those critters and parasites are literally eating down are making other micronized, tiny nanoparticle little pieces of other metals and other things, other poop. So that's why you need a good molecule that's going to be tiny enough to get down into anywhere within your body to be able to grab onto those tiny microparticles. And that's why this has made a quantum leap in my practice. But a very dear love of my life, my dog, okay? I know it's my dog, but my dog showed up randomly. I live out in the country, and he showed up with high levels of lead and radiation in his system. I didn't know that until 3 weeks in, but I realized why he was so weak and shaky. He's actually down here by me right now. But I did biofeedback and did some things and saw what was going on with his body, started dosing him on the TRS spray, and his dog made a 360, you know. I've got clients coming in that work as metal welders. They work with plexiglass, all different types of things that they work with, and they get massage. They get all types of different therapies here. And using the product has really, really broken down some really, really big resistant walls to break through their body into their tissues or into their subconscious, or trying to really help shift things. There's things in the way. It's that metal, it's the armor, and we have to reduce those to see results. So for me, I see it every day in so many different forms. I have a plethora of different type of people and shape, sizes, animals, everything that I work with. And so there's just so many.
Yeah, and I have a feeling Texas, particularly where you are, has a lot of toxins from the oil drilling. And
oh my gosh, yeah, a lot of benzene, a lot of radiation on these guys.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe Karen is this a good time to have Karen speak about what you've seen in the
She's got a great story.
Okay,
Yeah.
Great. Share with us.
Great.
You're up, Karen. I want to hear. I haven't heard this yet.
Okay. My son was diagnosed with autism back when he was about 3 years old. And at the time, we knew that we needed to chelate. And we had run the heavy metal tests, and actually his highest was cesium. That was his highest level. And we had tried, I think when he was 4.5 to 5 years old, we tried Andy Cutler chelation. So we did DMSA and ALA, and the very first day that we did it, he dropped down with a seizure. It was just too much for his body to handle. We pulled out the ALA and just used DMSA, and it was still not a very good fit for my son. You know, from the first dose on, he became very hyperactive. You could tell there was a lot of redistribution going on. It was just too much for his body to handle. So after about a month of doing these rounds, I had to put a stop to it because he was really uncontrollable in the house. So for years then, we knew that we needed to chelate. We just didn't know how to do it safely, how to do it in a way that was going to be effective, because we had tried all types of things. We ended up trying homeopathic, holistic, herbal, and it really just didn't put a dent in it. It was about 2 years ago that I met Candice at a biofeedback conference, and she introduced me to the product. And a couple months later was when I actually got my son started on it. And at that point, I was done with supplements. I was just done. We had been doing supplements for so long with no real gains that I was just done. So at the time, TRS was the only thing that we were giving, the only thing at all. Within the first 2 weeks, we only noticed one change. And I wasn't even really expecting a change. I had no idea what to expect at all. It was around the 2-week mark that we went to a park, and he got on a swing. And of course, he was 9 going on 10, and he'd never pumped a swing by himself before. And he sat there and pumped a swing on his own by himself. I was absolutely amazed. He had this new coordination that he had never had before. He figured it out. At about the 6 weeks mark was when he stopped wearing around this lanyard of keys that he had been wearing for about 3 years. He'd been wearing it for 3 years. He was very OCD about having this lanyard around him because, we had a lot of locked doors. And so my older children would carry keys in order to get into their rooms, so we could keep him out. He would go into their rooms and destroy their rooms. So we had everything locked down. And so we had fake keys made for him, and he slept with them. He took them to school. The only time these keys ever came off was when he was in the pool or in the shower. So for him to just take them off by himself at 6-week mark, that was absolutely amazing. He decided he didn't need them anymore. But that was at 6 weeks. Then I'd say the biggest changes came at about the 6-month mark, because he had been gradually getting better, But yes.
Did you say 6 months? There was a little distortion in the speech.
Yes, at 6 months was really at the biggest point that we could see the change. There were gradual changes up until then, but suddenly at 6 months, there was no denying it anymore. This child was asking questions to us. Before this, he had never asked a why question. He'd never been able to answer a why question. He was barely able to answer any questions at all, except for a simple yes/no question. And here he was, going on 10 years old. So, and his speech throughout the day was very ridiculous speech. He could speak, but it was ridiculous. Like our typical conversation on the way to school was, he would point at something and say a deekily dee and a dunkle da. And so it was kind of frustrating as a mom. You have a verbal child, but what he's saying just does not make sense. There's just something not right. So around the 6-month mark, he started asking questions. And I remember he asked, how is cheese made? He asked, how is pizza made? What is an herbivore? What is an omnivore? Suddenly all these questions just came out of nowhere. It was really amazing. And I started to think, okay, where are these questions coming from? How do you ever hear about an herbivore and omnivore? And then I realized he's parroting back what he's learning at school. It was the first time I was able to understand then that he's learning content at school and he's parroting it back to me in the form of questions. And the only reason he's asking questions is because everyone just asks him questions all the time. So he didn't know how to speak in a normal sentence. He didn't know how to give a normal dialogue. So then over the next 6 months after that, we tried to teach him how to just speak in a dialogue rather than just ask questions. And here we are at about almost 2 years later, and he is almost fully conversational. Wow. And it is the only supplement that we have given to make this change. So it has done an amazing job at chelation.
Wow, that's fantastic. Thank you so much, Karen, for sharing that.
Thank you, Karen.
I do have a little more to say with just his skills, is that at 2 years ago, I had to dress him. I had to brush his teeth. I had to help him with every single thing that he did in the shower and in the bathtub. And over these last up to 2 years, he's performing all those functions by himself.
Wow.
Can I ask, how many sprays a day do you do?
Well, when I started out, it was a lot less. In fact, the start was at our earlier product called Clear TRS. We didn't even have advanced TRS at the time. And so we did about 5 drops of that, per day. And then I made our way up to, say, 15 drops 2 to 3 times per day. Now, when the advanced TRS came out, I started with the spray, and it actually affected him. He got a little bit hyper. I had to back off. And I remember at one point over one of the spring breaks, I was just going to go hog wild on it. So I did one spray 3 times a day. So I did morning, I did afternoon, and I did evening time, because I thought, okay, great time to really press in was during spring break. And it was pretty intense for him. And when we went back to school, I had to back off again until summer came around. And at that point I could give him more. Now I can give him 5 sprays at a time, and I don't see any reaction from him at all. And I think that's really a sign that we're on maintenance now. It's not so much that he needs to chelate so badly anymore. We're just on maintenance.
Thank you.
Thanks for asking that question, Gloria. I'm glad to see you here.
Can I add in something real quick?
Yeah.
Dr. Tracy recommends, and everybody's going to be different, so you have to really listen to see how your kid does, but he says 1 spray every 30 pounds. So really it's just kind of, just go with that. And if you need to back off a little, back off a little. So yeah.
Thank you. And you know, I did have a question a while back when you were speaking, Candice. Someone typed in, what's the difference between the advanced TRS and the clear TRS? And since you mentioned that, Karen, maybe you can speak to that, Candice.
Yeah. So our clear TRS is it's a liquid molecule zeolite, and it does have, I believe it's got actually vitamin C attached to it too, so that there's a vitamin C exchange. But the molecule is not as small. Actually, once the advanced TRS came out, I actually stopped using the clear TRS, but I do use it to clean my vegetables with. I put it in the water and soak my vegetables. It's still a great product, but after seeing all the studies and everything, I'm just 100%. People tend to have had a little bit more of a die-off situation with the other one, and this one's a lot more cleaner and smoother. They're both great products, but after using the advanced, I can't go back to any other zeolite except also using maybe a powdered zeolite for some really intense stuff in addition to.
Okay, so when you're saying that the one that created a little bit of a die-off effect was the clear TRS, the bigger molecule.
Yes, it's the dropper. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I also wanted to say that Consiga is not planning on continuing with the clear TS product much longer. It's being phased out so that the advanced TRS can take its place.
Okay, thank you. So at this point, I'd love to, I know Gloria jumped in and asked a question. I would love to see if anyone else has questions. You can either unmute yourself to ask, or you can type it into the chat box. I had one that I asked before we started recording, so I'll start with that. Is can you do it too fast? You kind of spoke to that a little bit, Karen. Yeah. Do you see ever, and Candice, have you ever seen die-off or Herxheimer reaction with people?
Well, I'll tell you what, I've noticed that people have like a headache or maybe something like that if they go way too fast. But again, like you were even saying earlier, when you pull and encapsulate and you're releasing, there's other stuff that kind of floats up from above, and your body's got to take care of that, you see? So that's usually what's going on if there's a die-off of some sort. But yeah, it's good to just stay 30 for every 30 pounds of spray, but everybody's going to be so different. And some people don't have any die-off effect whatsoever. So you just got to just kind of watch your kiddo and then be intuitive with self. Just see how much is good for you. But sometimes I take sometimes 10 sprays a day if I'm going to the city. I live in the country, but there's still a lot of fertilizers and crap out here. But if I go to the city, I spray extra.
I wanted to also mention that I've used it on my pets as well. I had a cat that has been peeing a lot of blood from crystals in his urine. And when I started spraying his wet food, it didn't take very long, but he does not pee blood anymore. And those crystals have dissolved.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's another thing. My brother, he had severe kidney stones. Drinking all those monsters, those energy drinks, I don't see how he did it. We got him off of them, and then we helped we reduced some of that stuff too. He had severe kidney stones, and so it was helping to reduce that. But he attributes it to his TRS. That's also something that helped him get off his addiction to those nasty little energy drinks. So that was a big one.
Wow.
So.
And there was another autism mom who had a similar experience with her child who was having a lot of pain in urination. And once she started giving the TRS product, that stopped.
Mm-hmm.
I want to share something. My older child, when they start, he had a little die-off for about 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. He was a little hyper. He was crying a lot for no reason. After the 2 weeks is when we start seeing, new behaviors, new things, like great things, great speech. Now it's about 2 months, and we're doing very well with him. And we just started with our youngest one a week ago, and we cannot believe it.
Yeah.
What's happened?
Well, my little one is not that toxic that the other one, and it's unbelievable. It's like singing like whole songs. It's like it's crazy. It's like, and we're doing other detoxification, so it's like everything is going very well. Both of them at this time, both of them are saying new things and like longer sentences like, "Mommy, I need help," that I never heard that before. And, it's like new things, new puzzles. They're asking for new things. So I start these like, okay, I'm going to try like everything else I have tried in my life with my kids. But this definitely has been really fast results, which is amazing. That's I want to share. But yes, we did have a little die-off with my older child. But it went away in about 2 weeks.
Oh,
That's great.
Victoria.
Yeah.
That's amazing. We do have a question. Is it safe for someone to use if they've got mercury amalgams?
Yes, it is. Actually, that's one of the big questions that you'll see on the Q&A. Absolutely. It's not so much pulling it from your teeth. It's pulling it from all the residue that has been trapped within the body. So it's absolutely safe. You won't, it's going to go and find what's in the body, what's already been, broken off, micronized in through a lot of times the thyroid, heart. It gets trapped up in these areas, up in the upper parts of the body too, digestion. So it goes and gets that first. And we just suggest, why not slowly get those removed or replaced? Do a chelation process with it.
Okay, and then there was an addition to that question. Where can it be purchased? So I'm just typing that into the chat box. Oops, maybe. It's a, I'll just give the website. I'll just give mine. It's autismtransformed.mycosiva.com. So autismtransformed.mycosiva.com. And you can purchase there. You can do like monthly auto ship. Maybe I'll have you speak to that, Candice, of how it's set up.
Sure. Okay, yeah. And just real quick too, I just want to add in, whenever you add in the Consiga to anything, it's not adding any nutrition or anything else to your body. It's only taking away the toxins. So you're not really overloading too much when you add this into your regime.
Even with the magnesium?
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, every 1 molecule of sugar takes 40 molecules of magnesium. Imagine how much we're deficient in magnesium. I don't think that's going to be good. Well, okay, so to order, each bottle actually retails at $95 a bottle. Now, you can get 1 bottle auto-shipped wholesale each month for $68 plus shipping, which I believe would be $76 total. Now, you can also go in and change your auto ship to like the next month or the next month. If you've got a kiddo and you're just using it for your kid, that's great. But I'm with Luminara. I say the parents, it's very important to use it too. But you can also, you don't have to have it shipped every single month. You can go in and edit when you want it shipped again. Now for the autism families and the big families, there is the 3-pack auto ship. And this is your best deal. This is getting 3 bottles at $150, so they're $50 a piece. And that is also auto shipped. But again, you can go in and change your auto ship. You don't have to have it every single month. But for myself and my dog, I go through about 2 bottles a month for just myself. So,
okay, so what they would do is go over to the website and either sign up. So what I noticed is you can either enroll and set up for the monthly shipment, or you can just purchase it.
Actually, yeah, there's 2 options, of course. If you want to be a distributor and you want to share this, that's when you hit enroll. But if you just want to get your bottles, you hit shop now, and then that'll take you through. You pick if you want 1 bottle auto ship, 3 bottles, and you choose that. But if you do want to help us out and share this great word with this stuff, definitely you can make that switch later on though. But yeah, it's really easy. Just follow the impromptu and remember your password and your sign-in ID. as a customer, because that's when you can go right back on in and change your auto ship date in case you don't want it to come monthly. That's totally fine. We want you to be comfortable with what it is that you're ordering, so, and how often you get it.
Okay, and I see that someone whose name is Dynamic Changes wants you've unmuted, and did you want to ask a question?
No, thank you. Sorry, it was by accident. Hello, thank you.
Okay, great, because there are a couple other questions that people typed in. How can we find the product? We just told you that. How frequently is it given, and is there a risk of redistribution? I think you covered that, but if you could just do that again, Jen.
Yeah, it's just a negatively charged molecule that goes in and finds positively charged toxins. It literally encapsulates whatever it grabs onto, and it is encased with water. It's a patent process. It is excreted through your urine within 6 hours. There's absolutely no redistribution of whatever it grabs onto. It doesn't stay in your body. Although what we talked about earlier, when you're pulling these things out, encapsulating and reducing them, releasing them from your body, sometimes there's layers upon layers of things, and that's why some people actually spray every 6 hours, because it's only in your body for 6 hours and out. So some people are like, you know what, let's go in and do another one after 6 hours. Boom, boom, boom. And they just keep
that other stuff, for all that other stuff that is kind of, I like to think of it as like almost a concentration gradient. You get stuff out of this lower levels or whatever level, and so the rest can go, oh, look, let's redistribute. It's the stuff that's left that might redistribute. It's not what you're pulling out that redistributes.
And things like aluminum, that will actually it suffocates mercury into your tissue. And there's a lot of aluminum out there. It's actually on the ground as we speak, from, not to be a conspiracy theorist, but there's stuff that goes on. I have to clear it from people all the time, being outside, from aluminum on the ground. Anyways, but there's some different particles that suffocate other particles to stay. So when you start to remove them, you might have a little bit of stirrup, but it's not because it's being redistributed so much with what it's encapsulating. Your body is saying, okay, this stuff, we got to get rid of it.
Yep,
we got to get
let that go. Yeah.
It's your body's natural process. Some people are going to have die-off, and that's just the way it is. But it doesn't redistribute at all.
Okay.
That's why, again, I like to use a little powdered zeolite or a activated charcoal in the stomach as well, if there's a big something, so you can encapsulate in the gut and get it out of there.
Right. So it sounds like you're going to pull the stuff out with the zeolite, but then if other stuff then loosens and comes out from that, you've got your gut product because it's going to head toward the liver.
Well, it's your lymphatic system. Everything is going to try to pull that in, and then you've got to support your system. You got to drink a lot of water. Lemon water is great, So.
Okay. So another question, someone asked us, we were talking about the kidney stuff, and someone asked, does it bind with oxalates? Do you know about that?
Yes, actually, if it's a positively charged toxin, absolutely. Karen, do you have anything to say about that? Oh, I think she's...
I don't know if it's if oxalates are positive or negatively charged, so I don't have an answer for that, but you could easily contact Consiga. Candice, you have the email address to email questions to?
Yeah, actually, on Luminara's website, there is a specific you can contact customer service on there. So again, what was your website again, Luminara? autismtransformed.mycosiva.com.
Yes,
it's got their support site and phone number for any questions like that. So that's definitely, because I'm not the scientist, I can't answer that.
I noticed I did not type that to everybody. There it goes again.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a support system on there too, and yeah.
And then the next question is are there any minerals or vitamins which can become deficient?
That's an amazing question. And also people ask on top of that, is the zeolite pulling the mineral? Well, whenever most people are probably deficient in heavy metals anyways, in your minerals because of the heavy metals. There's a similar charge to heavy metals and minerals. And if you're deficient in those minerals that you're not producing, your body will pull those heavy metals and put them in places where enzymes are supposed to go and things like that. So there's really a deficiency of the metals. Yes, in that case. But when you start to pull the neurotoxins out, it's always a good idea to up your fatty acids, your trace minerals, all of those things. And if you're taking trace minerals, make sure, whenever they go into your body, they actually go in and process as salts. And then they'd make their exchange into a positive or a negative charge. If you're getting way too much iron, and it'll be negative, boom, 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 do what it needs to. But if there's an excess, that becomes positively charged, and eventually the zeolite will find the positively charged excess and excrete it from your body. But it never pulls the positive, the good minerals and the good metals. Your body has this exchange. It knows everything about itself, but in most cases, you're in excess toxicity. It'll work with that. And even if you're taking minerals, sometimes they're not absorbing because you got the armor in the way. Remove it, get your fatty acids up and your trace minerals. It's very important. Yeah.
Right. That's a good point, because I know that mercury will go in for, I can't remember if it's cobalt or manganese or something. So if that's not around, the good guy to use in the chemical reactions, the mercury will sit in there and it just kind of messes up the whole reaction.
Real quick, this is just a really interesting thing. Cesium, your body can see it as phosphorus. Now, know what phosphorus does to your body. No, that's an epic thing you got to watch out for. Things like chlorine and BPA products, your body sees as estrogen, okay? Another big one, fluoride, your body can see that as iodine. And that's scary stuff because it calcifies different parts of your brain and your endocrine systems. So remove those neurotoxins for your endocrine system to function correctly. But you got to remineralize. If you're in a high toxic load, you're not getting your minerals, I'll guarantee you.
I have a question for Karen, if you will, and it's just a curiosity. How did your son, you said his highest metal was, or highest toxin was cesium. Do you have any idea how he got that?
I only have a guess.
Food.
He had an MRI when he was a baby. He had a red spot on his head and it was raised, and we wanted to make sure it wasn't attached to anything. Now, when I saw the results of his heavy metal test and saw cesium, I was shocked. I'm like, how on earth would he ever get cesium? So I started doing research on MRIs, and everything that came up said that, it's just magnetic radiation and there's nothing toxic about it. Well, then I started digging a little bit deeper, and I started typing into Google cesium and MRI. And I found that the imaging coils in the MRI systems are made up of cesium. And so I think it may be possible, and there's no way for me to prove it, it's only speculation. It may be possible that when he went in for his MRI, that there was a leaky coil.
Okay. Wow. Thank you.
He was never the same after that. He was about 4 months old when he went in for his MRI, and when he came out, he could barely nurse. There was a change.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
Question for Karen. Do you have, Karen, hair testing before starting the TRS and now, or a year later and 2 years later, and the changes on paper?
I only had that one initial test that we had done. I had not tested again. Maybe I should have, just to prove a point to everyone, but, it was just about getting my son better. And so as long as he was doing better, I didn't see the need to spend all the money on all the tests.
That makes sense. Someone asked the question if they can cancel the auto ship at any time if they don't see improvements, and I take it I'm pretty sure that's a yes, right?
There's you don't get penalized or anything. Although give it a good 3 months before you give up. Sometimes there's many subtle changes going on within. Anybody who's walking, breathing, eating, you're toxic. So something will help. I'm sure.
And then
I might be so bold as to say, you really don't know until you've given it 6 months. Because if I would have stopped at 3 months, I wouldn't have seen the explosion in language and cognition that we saw at the 6 month period.
I want to add that detox is a really slow process too. You just can't, imagine I like to tell people this, imagine if you didn't take your garbage out of your house for a year, what it would look like. And could you move it all out at once? When you went to clean, no. The doors are only so big, and they can only take it away so fast. So you don't want to detox fast. I don't think it's healthy for the body. Like as a couple people mentioned you've seen. So I love what you say. Give it 6 months, for all that stuff to just kind of move on its way out slowly.
Yeah.
We have one more question. There's a question here that's been typed in. Should we also supplement iodine in order to avoid the pineal gland absorbing fluoride, or should we just focus to remove the fluoride with TRS?
I can understand that question. That's a good call. One thing that I do is I get a really good 4% potassium iodine. And if you actually put a couple drops on your arm, and if it disappears within 24 hours, you need it. If it's not, if it doesn't leave a stain after 24 hours, usually it's a good indication that your iodine is okay. But most people, and of course what iodine does in general, it helps you process, it helps everything with that thyroid area for you to process metals and everything like that. And most people are not getting enough iodine in their diet, but you also have to figure out if you're allergic to iodine. So that's like one of those things you've got to get tested somehow, or maybe get with Luminara on a something that maybe you might be doing that can test you if you're. A really easy test though is just drop some on your arm. If it's discolored, the discolor goes away within 24 hours. It's a good indication that you're deficient. So I take it. I take it all the time. I mean, I take it not daily, but I still take it in my regimen throughout the week. I mean, iodine's great. I don't eat a lot of fish. I do eat some seaweed, but you gotta supplement some of these things. So.
Thank you. We'll take one more question, I think. Victoria, you were unmuted, and I think you were going to ask a question. Did you want to ask something, Victoria? I just unmuted you in case. Okay, maybe that was a mistaken unmute. Okay, so if there, last call for any questions. Otherwise, we're going to wrap it up. Just want to say thank you so much for coming on, Candice. And I also want to say I met Candice at the Autism One conference in Chicago in May of this year. And of course, it was so busy there. We didn't really chat that much, but afterwards, and the more I heard what she had to say and that what she shared with you, the more, I mean, I'm a scientist. I'm pretty discriminating, and I'm really excited about this product and excited to learn about it. And I'm glad we met there. And hopefully you guys can try it out and see what you think. I mean, and the one other thing, I think there's a Facebook group or a support group. Can you say something about that and how to get on that?
Yeah, it's a Facebook support group of the Advanced Toxin Removal System. Karen, can you help me real quick? I should pull it up. I click on it all the time, but it's a long, what is it, Karen?
It starts with the word advanced TRS, and then there's a dash, and I think it's toxin removal and heavy metal chelation. I believe that's the name of the group.
Yeah.
TRS dash toxin removal and heavy metal chelation. You'll see it.
And is that a private group that you have to is there a moderator?
Yeah, you can join, and we'll approve you. But yeah, and please share your testimonials. It's a great group. It's a support group for a lot of moms out there, people that are highly toxic. So yeah, we appreciate your support.
And I think that's a good way to go and look at other results from other people and what other people are saying. Or if you have other questions like, how often should I give it? Or, just you can look at the range of experience from people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much. And thank you, Karen, for sharing what you did and being brave. I know not every mom wants to talk about their situation and what's going on. So thank you both. I really appreciate it. Mm-hmm. And thank you everyone for listening and hanging in with us.
Yeah. Thanks, Luminara.
Okay.
Bye, Karen.